Whoever controls the food controls the people. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And today I have a few things to talk about. I will link all the articles in the description below. Trying to look at the camera. It's so difficult. It's tiny little dot. So get your drinks, whatever they are, coffee, pop, whatever. Let's get to it. So the first thing, I actually saw a video today from Pinball Preparedness for the ladies, and I actually had something to comment about that. I was surprised he hadn't mentioned, but maybe he doesn't know about it. So this is probably nothing new to the ladies here, but maybe. So he talked about an article, which again I'll link below, which is U.S. faces new crisis after baby formula shortage. So it looks like it's starting, guys. They're talking about other shortages now. Now they're trying to play it off, and he talked about it a little bit, but I'll read a little here. It says, the U.S. is experiencing a severe deficit of tampons with an extremely successful ad campaign. Sure, that's what it is. Being cited as one of the factors contributing to the shortages. Time magazine claimed earlier this week. In 2020, popular comedian actress Amy Schumer, I guess, did a thing with Procter & Gamble for Tampax. Anyways, since then, they said retail sales growth has exploded. The company's spokeswoman said, demand for Tampax is up 7.7% over the past 2 years. And I'm going to side thing on this. It's really related to the toilet paper, and I'm interested in this, right? So they say the last 2 years. So, right? Since the sickness, there's been an uptick in Tampax demand. Well, I don't know, but just a thought came to me. So I know a lot of people talked, of course, about the toilet paper stuff, right? Well, the thing with the toilet paper is it was being blamed on people just buying a bunch of toilet paper. And that actually wasn't the problem. The real thing that happened was everyone was sent home from work where they used the bathroom and used the work toilet paper. So they started needing more toilet paper. It was just a massive increase of demand for at-home toilet paper because most of their day was now not at work where they were using works provided toilet paper. And I found this out, there is a difference between where a company buys toilet paper and where we buy toilet paper. It's different supply chain. It's a different thing. You can't just move it over one to the other. So it's not, just because, we just had more, demand over here, so they could just put all the toilet paper they were giving, they were selling to companies and move it to the private sector, and that's actually not how it works. So it's a separate thing. So that's the real reason why there was a shortage in toilet paper. Now, I'm interested to know whether this is the same kind of thing, if demand for tampons, because one of the things is that sometimes, not that often, but sometimes some bathrooms have tampons you can buy. And, I'm wondering if maybe there was, those are coming in the single kind of thing. I mean, I know they fill them, but I don't know. I'm just curious as to whether it's kind of like the toilet paper in that area, but maybe not. Maybe it's specifically because of this successful ad. That seems really high for an ad. I mean, Amy Schumer is funny sometimes, but I don't know. Seems weird. Anyways, people are showing their pictures, I guess, on like Reddit and Twitter and stuff, about their empty shelves for tampons and stuff. Now, like I said in, I think, my last video, one of the last two videos, one of those, I mentioned that the one thing I really did stock back last year, at the end of last year, was all my toiletries. And so I haven't actually noticed much about the feminine hygiene area and what it looks like. I haven't noticed something obvious. I've been in the vicinity of the area for other things, so at a few stores, so I haven't noticed anything here, but it seems that I guess quite a few places are having issues, and people are posting their pictures. So then they say, this isn't as bad as toilet paper shortages in spring 2020. The shortage first became clear during the sickness, when people were stocking up on essentials. And as demand for face coverings and other medical supplies was growing, the demand for raw cotton and rayon was also on the rise. Now, this is the real deal. Let's be honest. It's not some successful ad. As a result, tampon manufacturers have been struggling in sourcing these materials, like everyone else for everything. The fact that the price of cotton was rising fast, in April it was 71% higher than in the previous year. 71%. How would you just not read that one sentence and just be like, bad things are coming? That is just insane. For cotton, which is in a lot of stuff, as we all know. Okay, rising costs of transportation have made delivery of the products to the U.S. more expensive. And the CEO of startup The Organic Project, Time Sullivan, told Time that, his name's spelled differently though, that the cost of getting its tampons to the U.S. is up 300% from last year. 300%. That is insanity. Wow. Okay. Okay, then they go on to say, increased demand, staffing shortages, raw material shortages, none of these factors are unique to tampons, yet what makes the tampon shortage so persistent and problematic is that unlike most other items that the supply chain has made it hard to access, tampons are not something women can stop buying until supplies return. Well, okay, so, and then it goes on a little bit more, but we're pretty much at the end of it. So I just wanted to say that, of course, yes, stock up on feminine hygiene products. Clearly, we need to. Hopefully you're in an area that is not having issues, like my area doesn't seem to be yet. At least now I'm going to pay attention more. But now, a lot of you probably know about something like this, but if not, this is something else I'd suggest. Especially, so, this is the one I have, which is Diva Cup, but there's other brands. They're, silicone, reusable. Okay, so in a true SHTF situation, if you do not have water or something where you can clean this easily, when you empty it, then, this is not the best plan. So you definitely need something where you can actually rinse it off or, wash it somehow, before you reuse it. So you do need something like that. But in general, this will save you so much money. So in general, I would use something like this. And they last a very long time. Very long time. They do not have the whole toxic shock possibility. You can leave them in up to 12 hours. It's medical grade silicone, no latex, dyes, rubber, plastic, or BPA. So anyways, they're not cheap. I don't know how much they are now. They used to be, before everything went up, started going up, they were about $30-ish. So it depended, like 30 to, I think highest I ever saw was like 35 or so. But in general, they were about 30, I'd say on average. So look this up, see, maybe, of course, they might be out too. I don't know. I got this a while ago. I just haven't used this one. So anyways, they have a couple models that depends on your age. Also, if you had a child or not. So just something to think about. I would get something like this. It does, of course, have to be this brand, but I'd highly suggest it. Especially if there's going to be shortages. Well, obviously there are shortages, but if they're, if they haven't hit you yet, stock up, because you do want both, I would say. So, okay, the next thing, unrelated, is for everyone, not just the women. Okay, so the second thing is actually a financial thing. It's not good, guys. Okay, so one of the things... These dogs are going nuts. Sorry about that. One of the things that, of course, governments do is try to tell people, oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, nothing to see here. These are not the drones you're looking for. That's exactly what's going on. So over and over. I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but I do know that. So I'm a Star Trek fan. And okay, so I will link this as well. This is from the Telegraph. So this is not US specific at the moment, but we can apply it to all of those kinds of things. And today, some economic channels I watch. This is not good, guys. Okay, so, most of the, like I said, governments just say, oh, there's nothing to see here, move along. So in general, in the West, at least, they've been really stuck on this. And, first it was, there won't be much inflation. It'll be fine. Okay, it'll be transitory. We have transitory inflation. It's fine. It's just transitory. Then, okay, maybe it's not transitory. We were told, who could ever have guessed? We were so wrong. I mean, and I have to say, like, people like Yellen and Powell and everything, like, how do they still have jobs? Like, if anyone was that bad at their job over such a serious thing, they would be fired. Like, why do they have jobs? And, the best case scenario is that they're incompetent. The worst case scenario is it's purposeful. And I don't know. It's probably somewhere in between. I don't think they're really stupid. I don't think they don't know what's happening. I think they do, and they are just making money off of it. But I also think they're deluded into thinking they can fix it when they need to. And yeah. So anyways, I don't know how they have jobs, but in general, they it just goes on. They just, as long as they can say it's not that bad, into the next, it's a little worse, but still, it's not that bad. And then, okay, we were a little wrong. Maybe it's kind of, sort of, it's hard. You're just gonna have to, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and it's just ridiculous. So, yeah, that drives me nuts. And so this article says, from the Telegraph, what is titled, "Watch Out, Boris, Recession and a Fuel Crisis Can Quickly Explode into Anarchy." Really? So shocking. So, this is the same time that just a day or two ago, the DHS released here in the US, oh, it's gonna be a hard summer, guys. There's gonna be violence. Surprise. None of us are surprised. Like, yeah, that's what we've been saying forever. And when it's hot is when there's more violence. And because I don't know why, but it's a weird thing. So, scientifically proven. Okay, so Sri Lanka's precipitous decline into economic chaos is a stark warning to countries around the world. Yeah. It's a warning of, they don't care about you. You're on your own. We're in trouble. And there's a lot of bad people. And I have to say that for most of my life, I believed the lie that almost everyone is good. And if they're, there's so very few really bad people. Most people, it's just they're having a hard time and poverty, etc., etc., etc. I totally thought that. I thought everyone was mostly good. And though there's a lot of good people, inherently now I understand that God is right, and we're not. Like, people are not mostly good. They're mostly good when it's convenient, when something, now I will say, and here's what, it's kind of weird, but in extreme stressful situations like war-torn places and everything, there is, and I read this book about it actually not too long ago, but a few years ago. I wish I could remember it. If I do, I will link it in the description. But anyways, it was from a veteran, and they talked about, I forget which war it was, and or skirmish or whatever was going on, but it talked about how people think that in an SHTF situation that everything just goes crazy and people are just like killing each other. It's like Mad Max. That's not actually what usually happens. What actually happens is people come together, and actually there's been lots of people who have, and this is going to sound like I'm saying like the exact opposite of what I just said, but where a lot of people, there's actually people who have left, who've gotten out of like places who are in civil war for, a really long time, and it's just horrible war-torn places in the countries, and then they've come back while they were out and they didn't need to, and they came back because they actually missed the community and the closeness of people that became. Well, and it's interesting, and it does happen. It's like a phenomenon that happens all the time, and people do come together. And we saw it when the beginning of the sickness, when they first did the 2 weeks to slow the spread. And during that 2 weeks, when they actually, the very beginning of the real 2 weeks, that is what happened in the world. Like everyone, people were singing on their balconies and, performing concerts, and everyone was coming together. But you can only take something so far, and then people started to be like, what is going on? Like, this is, we're still locked down, we're still, and it started fracturing. Now, I think that there's a difference between a lot of, like, third world countries that have a lot of war-torn situations, and places like the US and a lot of other Western countries. And a lot of Western countries were very atomized, fractured already. We don't know our neighbors. We're not friends with anyone. A lot of us, we don't have a lot of friends. It's just like in the 20s, the people in their 20s, some of them have friends and some have literally no friends. So it's a lot different now. And I think there's just a big difference between some other countries where they've had to depend on each other before. People know each other in their small towns. Here, it's not always like that. Some places are, because the US is a big place. So there is plenty of really good people, and I think that will pan out as it goes along. But I do think there's something to be said about, before we get to a serious collapsing situation, depending on how fast or slow it is, I think depends on, makes a difference in how violent it is. So, and do you already have a community that you know and trust? That's obviously really important. And I'm saying all this, and I don't have this. But, I have people I do, but it's not like we're all preparing or something. We're not. No one else is. So it's interesting they're changing their tune. They always do this. Like the fact that it's coming out in something as pretty mainstream as the Telegraph says something. So let me just read a little bit here. But the island nation of Sri Lanka is living up to its teardrop shape. The war in Ukraine has understandably been the focus of the world's attention in recent months, but things are going from bad to worse in the Indian Ocean. Bankrupt and at the mercy of the international community, it is no exaggeration to say that Sri Lanka is facing the worst economic crisis in more than 70 years. I would say so. Shortages of food and fuel have resulted in inflation spiraling out of control, power cuts, and a shortage of even basic medicines. And this is also a way to look at what's going to happen, here, probably to a lesser extent. I really do think it'll be to a lesser extent than what is happening in Sri Lanka. I could be totally wrong, though. Maybe in some places it'll be like this. Like I said, the US is a big place. So it's hard to say what each state or city, I think it'll be worse in the big cities. obviously we had all the riots and stuff and the burning of cities and everything, were totally just fine, and like it was all fine, right? It was all fine. It was that dog burning in the that meme, that dog meme. Oh man, yeah, it's all fine. It's fine. Um, but shortages of food and fuel have resulted in inflation spiraling out of control. Power cuts and a shortage of even basic medicines mean the health system is on verge of collapse. Which is the scariest part. And there's so much going around, guys, about the healthcare system here. How right now there's so many shortages, and I have not heard one single thing about it, except for the people that I watch, the people doing what I'm doing right now, which is the only reason I'm doing this, because people just don't know. No one knows. Like, not no one, but almost no one. So little, it's basically no one. Well, Sri Lanka has since defaulted on its international debts for the first time in its history. This week, Ranil, I'm not going to say that name, the country's new prime minister told his parliament it will need at least $5 billion, or 4 billion pounds, over the next 6 months to pay for essentials like food, fuel, and fertilizer. Earlier this month, Colombo even had to ask for aid from what is effectively an international food bank operated by the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, which is so sad. And then it goes on to how did it come to this? Oh, and then this extra goodie part of it. Well, first I want to say, Sri Lanka is an island, and I hear Australia's having really hard times, and I'm really worried about everyone on islands because it automatically is more expensive anyways. If anyone's ever been to Hawaii, or any other island type place, or something even like an island that's not, like Alaska, everything is so expensive because you have to, shipping it's just more. So it costs more. So everything is already crazy high, let alone what it is now. I can only imagine. I have no idea what it is in Alaska right now or Hawaii, but I am so sure it is insanely expensive. Because it already was before anything ever happened. But here's the icing on the cake. Much of Sri Lanka's debt is owed to China, which has lent billions of dollars for a variety of projects under the world's second largest economy's so-called Belt and Road Initiative, which I had heard about that a while ago. Politicians in Colombo have recently found that these debts come with significant strings attached. In 2018, surprise, the dictatorship communist China has strings attached to their money. Okay, let's be honest. Anyone giving money is going to have strings attached, so the US will do it too. It's just, what kind of strings do you want? What kind of attached do you care about? How dictatory is the attachment? In 2018, the government was forced to hand over Hambantota Port, probably said that wrong, to Beijing on a 99-year lease. That should literally be criminal. Lease after it was unable to keep up the interest payments for loans to finance the project. More recently, it has been asking China to restructure other debts to little avail. Surprise, surprise. Because China's like, oh, we have you exactly where we want you. You're crashing. You're crumbling. Wait until you really need it, and then we'll come in and save you, and hey, maybe you can be part of China or something. Yeah. So let's expand our empire, because that's what empires do. And, it just... 99-year lease. It's literally like an invasion without an invasion. This is what is seemingly happening. This is what I think is happening, which is what's happening right now is everything is being attacked without anyone calling it an attack. Every, like, the West is being attacked from the East without being called an attack. We're trying to attack back without calling it an attack because no one wants a scary, scary world war right now. Well, most of us don't want one. The others are probably just waiting because they're probably just not quite ready yet. Uh, and we are so weak. We have given, like, so many countries in the West and also the East here, Sri Lanka, have just handed over everything to China. Like, China's barely gonna have to fight for anything. It's just like, we're just gonna hang out and worry about our own people because we have our own problems, because they do have a lot of problems. And just, let you guys just crumble by yourselves, and then we'll just kind of pick up the pieces. I mean, that's literally what it looks like is happening right now, here and in other places. It's like a war. It is a war without it being a war. It's an economic war. It's about to be seemingly, a food war. And it is true. Whoever controls the food controls the people. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.